This car is big, guys. I mean, it's humongous. I mean, just look at all this. You could fit a small army in here and then go and invade a really small country. But is there such a thing as too big? Especially here in Singapore, where the roads are a little bit like the economy class aisles in a Lufthansa flight? Well, I'm gonna drive this XPeng X9 Pro facelifted for 2026, and I'm gonna find out, like, does it have more to offer than just sheer size? Would you actually be better off driving something a little bit smaller like a Denza D9? Because I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is a really big car, guys. This is a big, big car. This could well be the biggest MPV that you can buy right now. It is just 1 inch shorter than a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. And if you look at this comparison table here between the, oops, let me get out of your way, between the Denza D9 and the X9, you can see just how much more metal and glass and range you get with this car. As a matter of fact, this car is just over 5.3 meters long. And did you know that the minimum length for a parallel parking spot in Singapore is only 5.4 meters? It's also a little bit taller than me, but lots of people are. Oh, but then again, this car is exactly 1.785 meters tall, and that could make it a problem for some old multi-story car parks. Not many, but some. But the X9 actually comes with air suspension standard, so I can actually lower this car by 3 cm from the baseline, and that should help with the whole multi-story car park thing. But it's actually to allow people to get on and off the car a little bit more easily. The car can also kind of lower its ride height by 15 millimeters when it's on the highway, and that's to improve stability and also to improve the aerodynamics. But on the flip side, if I just push the right button over here, I can actually raise this car 7 centimeters from bottom to top. So yeah, 4 centimeters from baseline to top, and that's going to be actually very useful, right? So one day, for some reason, you're going to like a little area where, say, the roads are in terrible condition and there's bumps everywhere, there's tree roots all over the place, nobody takes care of it, like say, Malaysia. Okay, these wheels look pretty proportionate, right? But they're actually pretty huge. They are 20 inches. But one thing I really want to show you is, well, I'm going to summon the car towards me using my smartphone. And as it rolls towards me, I'm sure you've noticed that the center cap always stays upright, or rather the emblem always stays upright. That is new for 2026, and it's just like a Rolls-Royce. By the way, the X9 has 2 secret weapons to help you deal with its size, and I will show you them later. But for now, let's have a look at what's new up here for 2026. Now, this car is nearly 2 meters wide, so I think it is actually pretty bulky and imposing from some angles. But to me, it is still the most futuristic MPV on the roads right now. As for what's new, well, I'm sure you've noticed that they've kind of tidied up the front end over here. There used to be these sort of stretched hexagon blocks and a sort of strange golf club kind of shape over here, but it's much smoother and much cleaner now. And it's got these new aero flaps as well. So when the battery or other systems need a bit of cooling air, they actually open up, but most of the time they stay closed to make the bodywork smoother, which is better for the aerodynamics and better for the range. Let me just see if I can force one open now to show you. It doesn't like it. In fact, when the car's aero flaps are not broken, not open, this car actually has a very low coefficient of drag. That's the measurement of how slippery it is through the wind. It is 0.236. Of course, that number is not everything. You still have to multiply it by the frontal area of the car itself, and there are cars that are even more slippery, like the Tesla Model YL, for example. But I think 0.236 is actually highly impressive for what is effectively a big box on wheels. And now it's time to take a look inside the box. Shall we? Okay, now then, do not kid yourself. That is not the prime seat. This is where all the magic happens, and if you're thinking about having your kids here, then you're really raising princes and princesses, because this is fit for royalty here. Let's start with basic stuff like this sort of thing to keep the paparazzi out. I don't have that problem, so let me just get rid of that. I've got a switch for a window that actually opens quite wide. Look at that. And I of course have a panoramic glass roof over me. So I'm going to leave it like that because it's a nice cool day today. If you're wondering about how the doors open, well, they actually do it automatically. There doesn't seem to be some kind of mechanical switch for this, but yeah, it's all automatic. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering what happens if you get your arm caught over here, let's see. Just kidding, that was perfectly okay. Okay, in terms of the basics, I have things like USB charging ports over here, and I've got my lovely aircon controls down here. They seem to be 2 zones, so I don't have to argue with the person next to me about how cold we need to be. And that comes with aircon vents over here. And oh, actually, it seems like there's cold air coming out here as well. And that would apply to the 3rd row too. So that's nice. You can see a little bit of ambient lighting all around here. It's a bit hard to see in the daytime, but it is there. So yeah, this is really, really nice and comfy. There's also a slot here for a mobile phone to charge, which I quite like, so it doesn't have to be in my pockets. Oh yeah, you've got this sort of flip-up tray table. Lots of MPVs and some SUVs have them as well. So it's kind of borderline fancy. Where it starts to get fancy, I think, is with these switches over here that let you kind of move this passenger seat out of the way if you want more legroom. Yeah, check that out. Okay, and then speaking of fancy features, I'm not sure if you can see down there, but this does have massage chairs. So these are very much like the business class chairs on an airplane. I can kind of configure them a little bit, recline, and I can activate seat ventilation, which is nice and cool, as well as seat massage. Oh yeah, pretty much like an OSIM chair, I gotta say. And well, what do you do when you're in an OSIM chair? Well, you just sit back and watch TV, right? So let me just push this button over here, and you get a 21.4-inch screen up there. Let's see what's on. Oh, there's a remote for that, so I don't have to stretch over there. And there's actually a pocket within this pocket over here for handy dandy remote. So I've got things like Disney Plus, Spotify, Apple TV. I don't have subscriptions to any of those, so I'm just gonna watch YouTube, and let's see if anything's on. Oh, my favorite. Okay, so it's touchscreen as well, but yeah, okay, let's deal with that later. So I'm gonna fold this away, because when you watch TV, well, it does warn you about staying clear of the screen. I guess maybe people have been injured by this as well, or maybe they don't want your head to injure the screen. But anyway, let's say you're watching TV, right? What do? Well, you have a little snack. So, okay, I'll get my peanuts, maybe have a little drink, and I have over here a refrigerator. So how posh is that? Ooh, and look at what someone has left me over here. Maybe not on camera. Okay, so I've got my beverage, and there should be a beverage holder for me somewhere over here. Yes, I found it. So yeah, that is actually very handy dandy. This is actually either a fridge or an oven, by the way. You can set the temperature you want. I believe it's like for 2 degrees. No, it goes down to 0 degrees, so you keep ice cream in there, and it goes up to 50 degrees. And finally, the last thing I want to show you is that there's a kind of recline setting. Let me see if I can find the button for it here. Yeah, okay, the magic is happening. Zero gravity mode it's called. So yeah, zero gravity mode, I guess, is designed to let me relax and feel like I'm floating in space. I gotta say, I quite like that. Oh, and that brings me to
3 things I like about the X9 Pro.
Okay, the first thing I really like about this car, guys, is, of course, the boot, because check out just how much space you have back here. You've got 2,554 liters, which is a hell of a lot. And keep in mind, not every luxury MPV has a flat floor like this. Sometimes the rear bench kind of folds over, but it's still there. And in some arrangements, it kind of folds up and takes up space over there. But it's not just flat, it's versatile. So if you want to carry more people, for example, all you have to do is this, and there'll be some mechanical magic that happens. And have a look at this. I mean, seriously, that's all happening without a single bit of effort from me. And notice it's split fold as well. So if you need 5 seats plus some luggage room, or 6 seats, you can have it any way you want. I think it's quite rare for MPVs to have this. Some SUVs that have it would be like the Hyundai Ioniq 9, the Kia EV9. They've got seats that are just like this. But really, I love just how little effort it takes to configure this car. And when all the seats are available like this, you still have 721 liters, which is a heck of a lot. You've got quite a deep well over here. Let me show you what I mean. Just gonna jump in. So yeah, maybe this car is an 8-seater after all, or maybe even a 9-seater. But there's still more. There's actually a little bit of space underneath the boot floor as well. So yeah, there is no frunk, but there's no shortage of space. So let me show you what I mean using my wife's favorite shopping bag. Now you can see this is heck of a big. And if I just stand it up right over there, there is plenty of room for, well, maybe even another one. And yeah, this means that I could keep the same wife, but she could do twice as much shopping. Probably not a good idea though. Okay, the second thing I really like about this car, guys, is that it can park itself. Okay, lots of Chinese cars can do that, lots of non-Chinese cars can do that, but I really think that XPeng is at the top of this game. First of all, look at how readily it sees all these parking spots around me, but let's make it challenging over here. I'm going to aim for parallel parking, which is of course nice and diabolical. So yeah, I'm just gonna let the car do the rest and then talk to you while the magic happens. So yeah, I'm not doing anything with the steering wheel, and I've kind of made it nice and tight as well. Someone careless person left their wife's favorite shopping bag over there, but let's see what happens here. So I've got a little bit of space because this lorry didn't park properly, but you know, parallel parking is one of the things I hate the most, and so far so good. The car's just keeping an eye on everything around me, and I have absolute faith in this, even though it looks like it's super close to the lorry behind me. And yeah, obviously I've done this before, and honestly the first few times you do this, it can feel mighty strange, but the car is actually thinking about it, it's thinking about what to do, and yeah, it's actually completed its parking. So it is in the parking spot, and let me see how good it was at that. And we've got a 3D camera, so you can see that, yeah, this car is pretty much exactly within the lines. So yeah, you might think, okay, I'm a man, I can do that better. Maybe I can even do it faster. But the question is, why would you want to? Okay, the third thing I really like about this car, guys, it can pull tighter turns than a Volkswagen Golf. I mean, the turning radius is just 5.4 meters. So yeah, U-turns are like a completely stress-free affair. Well, unless you do them a little bit illegally like I'm doing now, but whoa, look at that. And the reason it can do that is that this car has rear axle steering, so the rear wheels can pivot like 5 degrees in either direction. And that's really enough to spell the difference between like glory and humiliation, victory and defeat, when all you want to do is just go back the way you just came. Okay, I've put this off for way too long, and I guess it's time for me to face the music, or rather face the third row. So instead of squeezing between the captain's chairs in the middle row here, I can just push a button and this is going to move out of the way. So hopefully this 50-year-old spine will be able to handle this, but hey, it's actually not too bad. So yeah, why don't you follow me in and I can show you just how much space I have back here. Because wow, I actually feel pretty alright. I've got no shortage of headroom, I've got no shortage of knee room, and well, let's say 3 people abreast. I'm not so sure how that would feel. I guess a little bit narrower than some sedans because you do have the wheels intruding a little bit. So maybe not a long journey, but well, if you are not friends when you start the journey, you definitely will be friends at the end of it if you have 3 of you back here. But if you keep it at just 2, wow, I'm actually pretty well accommodated back here. Oh, I can feel cold air. There's an aircon vent down here. There is cold air coming from here. That's very nice. I've got a USB-C charging port over here. I've got a cup holder, and ooh, check this out. Okay, seat warmer, I don't really want that. But if I want to extend the headrest, how sweet is that? And then look at this, I can sit more upright, or yeah, I can recline for a longer journey. So that is pretty sweet, I have to say. Oh, and let's say I want to get out. How would I do that? Well, check this out. The voice control is actually like 3 separate zones. So, hi XPeng.
Passengers in the 3rd row, please speak.
Open the left door.
The door is opening.
So that is opening. I push this button, and in a moment, I'm free. By the way, if you're looking for honest and hilarious car reviews, well, I'm sure there's a couple over there somewhere, but since you're already here, please consider subscribing. That would really help us out. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is where the servant sits, so I don't want to waste too much time, but first impressions are, this is actually very, very nice. It's all very easy on the eye here, and it's all very solidly built as well. I'm not actually able to shift anything or make anything creak. So yeah, it's actually quite nice. There's soft materials everywhere. Oh, okay, these 2 panels don't quite line up, but otherwise, it actually feels quite posh. I feel more like a butler than a maid. Oh, and look at this aircon vent over here. It's plastic, but listen to this one. It's just like a Rolls Royce. Oh, something fancy I want to show you is that this mirror, well, it is a mirror, but it's also a digital mirror. So if someone's using the big screen at the back, and it's not going to get in your way. See? No reflections. It's just like I'm a vampire. Okay, you get soft nappa leather for the first two rows, and that's nice and posh. And in terms of driver displays, I have a 10.25-inch screen in front of me. Okay, I don't actually see too much, but there is a very nice and colorful head-up display, which I can't show you, so I don't want to talk about it. But something that is nice is, if you use Google Maps on your Apple CarPlay, then it actually shows up on the driver display over here. So yeah, that is pretty nice. Let me talk about this monster. This is a 17.3-inch display, and it's run by a Qualcomm SA8295P chip, which is apparently the top-level automotive chip series that Qualcomm produces. It's in charge of multi-screens, it can do a little bit of AI processing apparently, and it's in charge of voice control, yada yada yada. I think that's pretty boring, but I think it's also the reason why the displays are also snappy and also, well, nice to look at. Oh, and by the way, if I don't want to have to like stretch all the way over there to use my Apple CarPlay, what I can do is, voila, switch the screens around like that. Now, how cool is that? Now, normally I would complain about the lack of physical controls here because look, I mean, I've got these two buttons on the steering wheel and pretty much nothing else. Okay, a couple of important ones here like the hazard lights, but I'm going to give this car a pass because this is highly customizable. So I could swipe down for all the major functions. I can't actually edit this screen, but if I want something bad enough, I can actually add it to this row over here. So let's say, oh, I don't know why, but I could put Instagram down here. Let's say I'm an Instagram junkie, right? But let's say something more car-centric. Let's say I want to control the frunk or the trunk from over here. I can just drag this down. And there you have it. So whatever you find most important, well, you can have it exactly where you want. Storage is pretty standard for an electric vehicle, so I've got wireless charging pads up here for 2 phones, 50 watts each. That's pretty good. I've got cup holders down here, so let me just retrieve this bottle from down here in the door pockets, which are way down here, and let me show you that standard bottle like this shouldn't have any problems fitting at all. Get this out of the way. I want to show you that underneath here there's room for like a handbag as well, and lately I've been taken to sort of carrying a little man bag along, and it's actually very helpful. But let me use it today to show you that it's not very deep over here because of the refrigerator underneath there, but it's still deep enough for me to keep this. So yeah, that is not too bad. But you know what? Families are messy, so the more storage the better, and a little bit of cubby holes here and there I think would have been nice. But I will want to say that this car is extremely child friendly. What I mean by that is, well, let me just swipe down here and I can show you, you have immediate access to the child locks for the rear doors. That's super important. I have something like a kind of monitor for like the little kids behind, or your camera person, as the case might be. And there's even something called baby in car mode. So this actually disables all the manual controls back there, maybe for the AC or the seats or the, I guess the door is not super important, right? And I guess the takeaway here is that, well, I don't even have children, but I know that they have itchy fingers. And I guess someone at XPeng knows that too. Okay, I need to tell you something important now. There are 2 versions of the X9 Pro here in Singapore. They are both front-wheel drive. They have the same amount of power and the exact same equipment levels, but one of them is standard range, and then you have this, the Long Ranger, Hayo Silver. Now, the standard range can cover 535 kilometers on a single charge, and that's already quite a lot. That comes from a battery that can hold 94.8 kilowatt hours. As for the long range, well, that can travel 616 kilometers. So that's like from here to Kuala Lumpur and more than halfway back. And that's because it has a mighty 110 kilowatt hour battery. And by the way, I did ask the XPeng people if those numbers are like net usable capacity or gross capacity, but they said they weren't sure and they haven't quite got back to me yet. But there are a couple of other differences to highlight. The standard range uses lithium iron phosphate or LFP chemistry, and the long range has nickel cobalt manganese batteries. So one thing you can see straight away is just how much more energy dense NCM chemistry is compared to LFP, because even though this car's battery pack can hold 16% more energy, well, the long range is actually 60 kilograms lighter than the standard range. There's also a price difference to tell you about. It is June 2026 as I filmed this, and the X9 Pro long range goes for $349,999 with COE. The standard range, $11,000 cheaper. As for charging, well, the standard AC rate for this car is 11 kilowatts, which, yeah, is pretty slow actually. It's going to take you overnight, say 11 hours to charge this car from 0 to 100. But if you use this DC bad boy over here, then you can charge at 542 kilowatts. I don't think there's a charger in Singapore that supports that yet, but it's only a matter of time. And if you do find one, then this car supports 5C charging. What does that mean? Well, 1C means 60 minutes or 1 hour, 2C means like half of that, half an hour. So 5C means 12 minutes, and that will take you from 10 to 80%. So yeah, I used 5C just to try and sound smart, but now I can't think of anything smart to say. Okay, I could totally drive to Kuala Lumpur in this non-stop. I mean, I've got the range for it, but it's also just so quiet on the move and it's comfortable as well. And you know what? You can see well up the road too, and that takes away stress, right? That's because you're kind of at SUV height in this car, or maybe even a little bit higher, so you feel like a master of the universe. Well, except you have clothes. And you know, the suspension works really well as well. Okay, this car has air springs, but it also has AI suspension. So like, okay, AI suspension, what does it do? Well, apparently the car reads the road ahead by up to 30 meters, and then it can adjust its dampers before it even hits the bump. So yeah, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, AI suspension, it seems to work. When it comes to the performance, guys, well, I think this car is decent. I mean, I have 347 horsepower in front of me, 450 newton meters of peak torque, and that's like a really nice, like a 3-liter turbo engine, right? But this is a heavy car. It's almost 2.7 tons. So 0 to 100 takes 8.2 seconds. So, you know, this is not a fast car, but it is electric, so the response is instantaneous when you put your foot down. And I of course have driving modes, right? So I've got eco, comfort, and I've got a new button on the steering wheel that puts me into sport mode right away. Whee! And that of course just quickens the reflexes. I mean, it makes the steering a bit weightier, it lowers the suspension, makes it stiffer, that kind of stuff. But really, this is not a sports car, right? I mean, it's not even a sporty car. So let's just put this back into individual. That's my favorite because it lets me tune everything. I mean, the power response, I can do the power steering weight, things like how the brake pedal feels and the suspension height, the suspension stiffness, and of course the amount of regen braking that I get as well. And yes, Tesla fans, this car does have one pedal driving. So I'm going to push a button here to activate something called LCC or lane centering control. And together with adaptive cruise control, the car is doing most of the driving now. Accelerating, braking, all done by the car. I'm just going to keep a light touch on the steering wheel so that it thinks I'm paying attention, but also because the law says I have to. And you know, this system doesn't just like follow the lines, it apparently responds to other traffic as well. So if there's a car ahead of me and it's kind of encroaching on me, this car would either like move to make a little bit of space and keep going, or slow down to avoid a crash. And it can do this because it has 12 sonar sensors, it has 12 cameras and 3 radar sensors, all kind of scanning what's going on around me, and controlling it all is a new in-house chip by XPeng. It's called the Turing AI chip. So yeah, I can just sit back and relax and switch off my brain. It's not like anyone can tell when that happens anyway. And I think this is really useful, and I do like it. I wish I had it in my own car. But it does bring to mind something I'm not so keen on about this car, and that brings me very handily to
3 things I don't like about the XPeng X9 Pro.
Okay, the first thing I don't quite like about this car, guys, is, well, it kind of drives like a bus. I mean, yes, it is an MPV, and no, you should not expect to have any kind of fun behind the wheel of any MPV. And I will say that this is like less soft and bouncy than some other Chinese MPVs I've driven. But really, if you are any kind of driving enthusiast at all, you should really think carefully before you commit to buying an electric MPV. I mean, I would say something like a Toyota Alphard kind of still feels a little bit more like a car to drive. Oh, but you know what? If you want my professional advice, well, my expert advice is if you really need 7 seats and you want to have fun, then you should consider something like an XPeng G6 and a motorcycle. Okay, the second thing I don't like about this car is the digital aircon vents. I mean, this looks really nice, right? But the placement is actually a bit strange, and that's because of this big screen over here. But what I'm complaining about is that if you want to adjust them, well, you have to go into the screen. You have to tap once, you have to tap twice, and then you have to like try and aim this where you want it. Like right now, I actually want more cold air on my face. Can't quite get it, so it's a lot of guesswork. You have one of these automatic settings like sweep and all that, but really, I don't think this is better than this. So yeah, automatic complaint from me. Okay, the third thing I don't quite like about this car is, well, it speaks a little bit of Chinglish. Let me show you what I mean. Hi XPeng.
Backseat speaking.
Switch on the door.
The door is opening.
Okay, so yeah, it's heard switch on, but the reason it opened the door is, let me just do the rest of that here, is because in Chinese, like open and switch on are the same words, like 打开, right? So yeah, so it kind of speaks English in a slightly Chinese sort of way. I'll give you another example here. Let me just try and flip this seat up.
Due to occupied second row seats, the easy entry/exit mode is not available.
Okay, so it wouldn't do it because I'm sitting here, but it says easy entry/exit mode is not available. So that's not a very sort of native English way of speaking, right? And yeah, this is not a big deal. It's not even a deal breaker, certainly. But I think that when a car speaks Chinglish like this, it kind of breaks the spell a little bit. Especially if you told yourself that the reason you chose a Chinese car was not because it was the cheapest option, but because it was the best. So, is this the best electric full-size MPV on the market? I have two more things to tell you first. The first thing is that this car does have a companion app and it is lovely. I could remotely lock the doors or cool the cabin, move the car out of a parking spot, that sort of lovely stuff. But check this out. XPeng, honk the horn. Yeah, voice control, nice and obedient, gotta love it. And the second thing is, a bit more practical, the warranty for this car is 5 years for the whole vehicle, 120,000 kilometers, and for the battery it is 10 years, 200,000 kilometers. And as for my verdict, well, I think in terms of range, features, practicality, versatility, and refinement, it's really hard to beat this car right now. So yes, if this is in your budget, definitely take one for a test drive, because I think this XPeng definitely deserves a tick pung. I'll show myself out now.